Okay, Ralph had a great joke. This is our opening. Ralph, please tell it.
You know how there's the Game of Thrones and everyone's fighting for control? This is the Game of Duty. You know how there's the Game of Thrones and everyone's fighting for control? This is the Game of Duty. Took us an hour to come up with
We
that,
literally
okay?
sat there for 10 minutes going, what's our opening? Ralph's like, Game of Duty. I'm like, oh, yeah.
No,
okay,
we had other stuff
fine.
about the beauty community drama.
Yeah.
We had stuff about Logan Paul apparently
Cringe fest.
calling someone a cyberbully.
I don't like cyberbullies, and you're a cyberbully.
Who can say where the road goes, where the day flows?
But today's story is about Call of Duty drama because it turns out that the next Call of Duty, or actually not the next one, but the one after that, is kind of fucked. And they've had to like change developers and completely change direction, and it's just completely a total mess. But
It
my
kind of
question
does sound a
is-
bit like Game of Thrones, really. Like, who's leading shit? Like, I kind of get the
Just
joke.
Sam-
It just wasn't delivered correctly.
Even I know
everybody.
it was bad. Stop trying to defend it.
Oh,
Okay.
that's what a brother does.
The
okay?
main point is, who really cares that COD is screwed at this point? Like,
I guess
does
so.
anyone care?
Well, it's kind of apparently come out in 2020. Let's make COD great again, people.
All right, so Call of Duty. Now,
15 years straight, everybody. They haven't missed a single one. 15 years in a row, okay? I'm surprised that it's come this far, to be honest. I don't think there's any other franchise that's come out every single year and it's 15 years long.
Right. Oh, John, that hurt.
Relax, John. It's all part of the miracle of cloning.
Hello, John. Hello, John. Hello. Hello, John.
I mean, even TV shows, apart from The Bold and the Beautiful, for God's sakes, what else is actually, like, running consistently and still successful for 15 years?
Sam knows The Bold and Beautiful very well. It's actually his favorite television show, so that's how he knows. That's
Cue
why it was the
music.
first show to come to mind. Not The Simpsons.
No, because my mum and my grandma used to watch it, and
Sure.
I used to watch it with her, whatever.
So, Call of Duty, basically, last year's Call of Duty was interesting. It came out, it was quite different to preceding CODs. It really tapped into a new audience, and I think it generated a lot of goodwill, in fact.
Totally, yeah.
If you look at a lot of reviewers, myself included, we were like, this is actually a pretty fun COD for people who don't generally like COD, and it also had Blackout as well, the Battle Royale mode, which was, really fun and really cool.
Yeah, I think it did try to rebrand itself, and I
Yes.
think it was pretty successful with that, because it kind of retained that good weapon mechanic, but at the same time, there was just different things. There was abilities introduced, there was the Blackout mode.
They already had the ability in previous ones.
Oh, did they?
Yes, they did. But obviously what happened after that was that reviewers and everyone, the gaming community in general, realized that Activision gone to Activision, and they completely bastardized the monetization of that game. It was really gross. We had the whole red dot
red
fiasco. I ended up taking my review down because I was just so grossed out by the way they jammed loot boxes and just gross monetization into that game. And on top of that, they also had no updates to it whatsoever, basically letting it die. And they didn't make any updates, or very few updates, to Blackout as well, and that's completely dead as well.
I think it's like yet another game that comes along and doesn't actually disclose their monetization until like it's out. And after the reviews are out, after they've given their early copies for people to review, a month later or some shit, like, people just have no idea what they're getting into. And yet again, it just destroyed any goodwill, I believe, that the Call of Duty did make with that new audience. Especially new hardcore gamers that are like, really look at the news and understand this shit.
So the way that COD is able to pump out a game every year for 15 years is they actually have multiple developers working on them. They've typically had Sledgehammer, Infinity Ward, and Treyarch working on 3-year rotations to get a COD out, right? So they'll put out a COD and they'll immediately start working on the next one, and 3 years later they'll deliver it. The 2 other studios are working on the new COD, so it all keeps going, right?
Yeah.
What we've learned this week is that COD 2020, which is now going to be Black Ops 5, that game was being developed by Raven Studios and Sledgehammer. Now, this was the first time that Raven would be taking a leading role in the development of a COD game, because usually it's, as I said, Sledgehammer, Treyarch, Infinity Ward. Raven have always played a supporting role, but they were stepping up to a leadership position this time around. Turns out that's not happening now, and that the development of the game has actually moved from Sledgehammer and Raven to Treyarch,
Ooh,
and
shame.
they're going to be delivering it now next year, 2020, and it's going to be Black Ops 5.
I wonder how much kind of internal chaos has to happen for an entire studio to kind of lose the
their game.
reins.
Yes.
You know, like it really must be something pretty big. And I know that Kotaku has recently said that they're going to be doing another, like, you know, in 4 weeks' time, expose, probably from Jason Schreier. Let's face it, I'm putting my money on that. Okay. And I'm expecting to see maybe very similar things. They got all Anthem or something internally. Don't know what's going on, and maybe there's just so much politics going on that, you know, they just don't know what to do.
They do make some allusion to it in this article, and they talk about the fact that Raven and Sledgehammer were fighting a lot, and they just weren't making progress with each other.
Gonna bring Cody to the party?
Yeah, you said sorry, bro. I'll shake your hand for that.
No, just say
I
no.
appreciate that.
Where the day
I mean, that's quite normal with other development houses too.
It is quite normal.
It was very similar to Anthem, like, you know, the main studio would kind of have, you know, beef with the secondary studio. Yeah, it sounds like it's, you know, that's always a recipe for disaster, I think, because if you're both trying to make a product and you're both fighting each other, like, how can you actually get the best out of it?
It's like, I'm in charge of Laymen. And then Sam's
We all
like,
know I'm
Sam's
in
like,
charge.
I want to do this. I'm like, Sam, shut up. Know your place.
We all know I'm in charge.
I don't pay you 10% of the ad revenue for your opinion.
I give
okay?
about 5% because, you know, I just, you know.
This is the game of duty. The other thing that happened with Sledgehammer is that they actually lost their 2 senior leaders recently. Their names were Michael Condrey and Glenn Schofield, and they basically were promoted to positions within Activision and then very quickly removed from Activision. So they kind of like tried to do a bit of a sneaky one on that one. But those guys were booted out. Unclear why that's the case. One of those guys actually set up a new studio, Silicon Valley base, and has been poaching staff from Sledgehammer, so they've been hemorrhaging people as well.
Yeah.
So it's very ripe for, you know, a very bad situation at Sledgehammer. And you've also got Raven, who are an inexperienced developer in the sense that they've worked on CoD. I'm sure they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's their first time taking a leadership role, which is obviously quite risky.
Yeah, and I just think, like, look, if Activision had heaps of stuff in the pipeline, it would be like, oh well, you know, they'll figure it out. But this is the one game that, of course, they really need to make sure that it's a pretty tight ship, you know.
For sure. And the challenging thing now for Treyarch staff is they're worried about crunch because they've always had 3 years to deliver a CoD. Now they've got 2 years.
Yeah.
And even better, this one is likely going to be cross-platform because it's going to be available on the new next-gen consoles. They should be out by 2020, which means that they're going to have to develop for another platform as well.
4 platforms, because it's going to have, if it's going to be
PC and 4 consoles.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Yes,
so
5 platforms.
Yeah, I mean, this is just going to be absolute mayhem for them. But
So
like,
I feel sorry for those dudes.
I mean, like, I know that, you know, this whole crunch thing is becoming sadly more and more. It's talked about so much that it's almost like a norm now, right? And there always is a backlash. But like, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see the actual quality of this product if they do lose an entire year.
Yeah.
You know, they're also talking about wanting to put single player back into it.
Yes.
Is that really possible when you have to really, you know, completely rebuild the internal what's going on here, plus develop, you know, make a AAA game like Call of Duty? I know they've got a lot of reused assets. They probably can pull it off. But like, you know, they didn't even have a single player before, so who knows?
we lost that COD single player campaign due to development turmoil. Let's not forget this, right? There was going to be a COD single player in Black Ops 4, but they said this sucks, it's not working, and they just cut it.
They said it was because of Blackout originally.
Yeah, well,
That's what they did say. They were like, oh, because we're making a Blackout, we want to focus on that. Bitch, it's a whole freaking big map. That's it. Like, come on, don't give us this shit.
So I wonder whether or not we might end up losing the single player in COD Black Ops 5 as a result of this, because they're like, listen, we've got to ship a COD in 2 years. Things aren't working. It's too tumultuous. We're going to have to.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think that they've seen, you know, the backlash of not having that single player. You know, the actual stats show that most people never even logged on. Well, a portion of people did not log on at all to play online. It was very much about the single player experience. So I really think that they're losing a big market there, and they've already promised it here. So they want to come back and actually deliver that.
I guess the big question is, as we said at the start of the video, does anyone really care? Like, at this point,
I personally don't.
I personally don't. Like, at this point, because I enjoyed Black Ops 4 so much, and I was like, cool, this could be good. Maybe Activision have turned a leaf here. And then because of what they did to it afterwards, I really have no, like, fucks to give about whatever happens to a future COD. Because of the fact that I'm almost certain that Activision will just end up screwing people at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Either through a lack of updates to keep their games alive, or through just the abhorrent monetization that Activision loves to bring to the table.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be Guitar Hero, everybody. I think it's going to just continuously be pumped out or Tony Hawk's as much as possible, but Guitar Hero especially because they destroyed that game not because there wasn't enough interesting songs. There's always enough interesting songs to bring out.
Nobody watches the clothes when they're drying. Unless you're stoned in a laundromat.
So I think that might be easily going down this route. They're really trying to push this monetization to the extreme. It's pissing people off and it's damaging the brand. In 3 or 4 years, if they continue to do this, is there really going to be the big market that they have? Because we've said it before, they only have Blizzard now. They've got Blizzard. Apart from that, that's all they've got.
Like, they're releasing Classic WoW is their next big,
game.
It's
their next big thing, everybody.
Game is 15 years old. It's the same shit.
I wonder how that's going to go. We're actually going to cover that in our Saturday episode, everybody.
Yes,
okay, we're doing another live episode. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Okay, that's what it's going to be called. We'll do it live. Fuck it.
Just get the quote wrong. So that's it,
isn't it?
Fuck it. We'll do it live. It's not. We'll do it live.
That's right.
Fuck it. You know,
Just testing you guys.
So that's the latest with COD. There's surely going to be more news. I said Jason Schreier has already hinted that they're working on a big expose on the development of COD Black Ops 4. We'll surely read that out to you. So.
Yeah. I think we'll
can stay tuned for that.
See you guys.
When shedding a tear and crying like a gamer with self-loathing and low self-esteem. Let's take the esteem down even lower now. Nobody much likes it when those Buddhists are always pacifying. One day they're just gonna fucking hit someone.